Hello, hello. Welcome to the Heal and Cash Flowing podcast show. Your hostess, Kat Restoring here, and glad to bring you yet another episode with an amazing conversation with my brother Omar. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself to the tribe, and let's dive in. Thank you so much for being here, Omar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It is a super honor to be here. So trust me, I'm super excited.
So glad that you're here. So for those that don't know you yet, tell us, who are you?
Well, my given name is Omar, and I come from, I came out of my mother's womb. That's the way I like to say it, right? Because we're probably born way before that, right? But when I came out of my mother's womb, it was in Manhattan, in New York City. Uh, but then they brought me to Brooklyn, the city of Brooklyn, and so I'm a Brooklynite. I'm really a New Yorker. This is a Brooklyn accent, by the way, and from the tri-state area. So I grew up there, but currently I'm living in North Bergen, New Jersey, with my wife. We are leading a private practice here called the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. My name is Omar, and her name is Aziel. So that's where the name comes from. Omziel.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So
Mhm.
I see some melanated gifts that you have going on there. So what's your ancestry background for those that don't know?
Of course, my parents were born in the island of Puerto Rico. But my ancestors are from that island, and of course, there's other indigenous and Puerto Ricans are really a mix. Like they go, "Oh, who you are? I'm Puerto Rican." Yeah, but what does that really mean? We should look a little deeper, right? We're just a mix of many different races, including the Spaniards, the African, and indigenous people as well. Um, but probably anybody else from Europe at the time, right? Because if
Yeah.
you knew that there was a boat leaving, right? You lived in Germany and you knew there was a boat leaving where you could get some monies and make love to a native and God knows what, you would get yourself down there and get on
Yeah.
one of those boats. So who's really to say?
Yeah. I love that. And I love the way you said it so perfectly because I correct people all the time when they say Spanish. I'm like, what is that? Spaniards, hello, from Spain.
Right? Yeah,
Spanish is
I'm
the language, but I
right.
love that you know that. And indigenous people, hello,
Mhm.
native to the
Right.
area, because he did not go to India. So native, indigenous
Hmm.
people. Thank you for that. That's
It
already
does.
dropping gems. Love it.
People should pay attention. It also goes with Latino. Latin is a dead language. We're not Latino. We're not what the masters call us. You
Yes.
see? So why do we say, hey, I'm black, are you black?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Let's just get
Yeah.
clear.
Let's go deeper. Yeah. I
That's
love
all.
that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all.
I
There's nothing
love
wrong.
that.
Yeah, Puerto Rican and Latino, so yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So going back to, as you know, the name of the show is the healed and cash flowing. And if it means healed, that means that there was a time that when you were not healed. So what were the things that you struggled with before you came to run the Omziel Healing Center?
Well, when I was being brought up, thank you for asking, in Brooklyn, my father's side of the family used to have these family gatherings. Um, but just imagine that you're about 5 or 6 and you're in the living room running with your cousins, the good smell of food, pernil, con gandule, all of these, traditional type of roots boiling and these frying of everything. And, the music is blaring, and then cigarettes were like, at that time, it was all over the place. Um, but then all of a sudden, a fist fight breaks out in the middle of the living room, right? This is traumatizing for any kid. So it would be surprising if I didn't grow up and I didn't, use hard chemicals and substances and, being chemically dependent because it
Mm,
was quite traumatic. I'm sure there was other things going on in the background as well, but alcohol was the main driving force there. Um, and then there was other things that came up too along the way. So there was some abuses that had taken place too within the family because it's always family, people who are close, the ones that you trust, things like that. So, um, as I grew up, I started living with these things, and they started to bubble up much, much more. But then my old man left when I was 9, and he probably checked out emotionally years before that, right? Um, but then when the teenage years came, the streets were there with open arms. Come on in, we love you, we're your family. Come do this, try this, and don't listen to them. We're loyal to you. All of that, which all of it was a lie. I didn't know it at the time. But then I started being introduced more to different, alcohol as well as different chemicals too, from the streets. And before you know it, I was in it deep, and I didn't know how I got there. But after high school, after dropping out, um, I wandered a bit, tried to get a job and hold it down. But, being that I was chemically dependent, I just couldn't wait to get paid, for the first or second week. And then I was there going to the man and going to the clubs, like people say, and things like that. And it was a pretty vicious cycle, But I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I thought everything was fine. I was cool, man. People liked me. I was popular and all of that. But at some point it just started to unravel. Like my mom threw me out, and then I couldn't hold down a job, so I ended up homeless. And there I was with my duffel bag of my own personal belongings. And Kat, I went to the emergency room just to sit and wait, to make believe like I was waiting for the doctor. Why? Because I just knew that that's where people sat and waited anyway. But I also slept in cars and couch surfed, and anywhere I could, trying to get by. I would meet a woman, and if she had a place, oh man, forget it. I love you. Did I tell you that I love you? I want to be with you. Those type of things. But then the drugs would get in the way, and the infidelities, and then I was carrying on multiple relationships, and I ended up in different places. I mean, super dangerous places. Places that I think about now, I wouldn't even go near those places. But there I was, like in this room with all of these substances, automatic weapons, and cash, and like anything could have happened at that time, which they did in other cases. But I just happened to not be one of those to be caught in some horrific, tragic event. But I was fighting my own demons along the way, and being homeless. Like I said, man, I got to get out of this, and then my old man, he even though he did leave and we were close, he told me, look what you're doing. You went from one woman to another woman. That's it, you're doing. You went from your mom to find another woman. And he's like, when are you gonna grow up? When are you gonna, be on your own? He said the key to life is having your own key. So
Mm,
I started getting these little jobs and just holding on to it with my nails and teeth, barely, like not letting it go. But then at some point, it was one of those jobs that was for the birds anyway. Um, but then I got a little room, very small. It fit a one single bed in it with a little sink. And like you had to walk in straight and walk out backwards. That you don't
wow.
turn around, you might get. It was that small, but it was mine, and I got a little TV thing, and I was taking a shower in the bathroom in the hallway, and I just started there, then I started looking for help too. So, when I was chemically dependent, the only reason why I had stopped was because my heart started doing the sideways mambo, and
Mm,
I ended up in the emergency room twice, right? Because one time it could have been a fluke, I had to
yeah.
make sure, because that's how we are. Um, and then, but the alcohol filled the rest of that in
Mm,
nice and neatly. And that's the one I just couldn't let it go. It was like always showing up, always. And I would be dry for a long time, a while anyway. But then there I was again in the source. And then, disheveled, I was being picked up by the police, and, all kinds of things, small robberies, all kinds of things. But at some point, I did meet a woman, and she helped me. Um, One of the things she helped me with was the books too. She was reading many books, and she would always hand me a book like, "Hey, read this," and I'd be like, "Nah, I don't want to read that, man. That's that bullshit, you know." But I would read it, and at some point I would go, "Wow, there's really good stuff here," you know. What else you have, you know? And then she was just feeding me that, and then she had different ways of being too with the herbs and eating clean and stuff. And meanwhile, I was doing my best to drag her down to the dark side. Like I would do anything just to get her, down here. But she was always like rising up. And I said, man, I better start listening to this because she's right on many points. So I just started looking. I tried many things. Meetings, ashrams, silent retreats, belief systems. I tried many different things. And I can't say that none of those things worked because they got me ultimately where I wanted. But maybe I wasn't ready either because sometimes the message comes in and we're not ready. We're just not ready. We don't want to do it. It's a good message, but we just don't want to hear it. But then at some point, I had found this thing on the internet called ayahuasca,
Mm.
and it's one of the most powerful psychoactive substances on planet Earth. It comes from the Amazon, and I couldn't even pronounce the word, but I studied it for a year. But I couldn't find anyone else who had did it either. We knew people who were spiritual, and we thought they would know about it, but they had heard about it. Some people, but had never did it. And then we were in Kemet, modern day Egypt, on a vacation for 30 days. But during the 30 days, 15 of those days, we were with a traveling group. And one person just happened to say, "Hey, yeah, I've done it." I was like, "What?" It was like finding the needle in the haystack. And then he was like, "Yeah, I've done it like 17 times." Then that confused me more. I was like, "Why would you do it so many times?" But he schooled me and all of that. Then he suggested a few places for us to go to the Amazon. And then the following year, there we were. We went back to Peru and we went to a place called Pucallpa and sat in a ceremonial setting in a healing center. Um, and it helped me. It did something. It shifted something. That's what it did. Like something was different now. And then I kind of I went back in. As soon as we got back, I started drinking again. Oh, mija, I was drinking more. Like I was swollen face. Like it was terrible. But then I learned later that these energies, right, or they like when you go to the liquor store, it always says wine and spirits, right, because it's a
Mm. Wow.
spirit there. It's called agul. It's an Arabic name for alcohol. That's where the name comes from. I was feeling it like in the pit of my solar plex area. Like it was just a yearning. It was terrible.
Wow.
Like the only thing that would take it away was like have a drink, another one, another one, another one. I was like, oh my God, like good. That's terrible. But I said, man, I need help. So I continued working with the medicine. My wife helped me get out of that. And here I am. And then we started getting other calls in from wherever telling us to serve people. And then that's what we did. We opened up our two-family home. We turned it into the sanctuary that it already is. And we have two children as well. And we have different events going. Now we have festivals and we have men's retreats and we do breath work and ice plunge. That seems to be our staple. Uh, yeah, but I think that's everything right there.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you because the flow was so good. And
Mm,
I
mm,
kept looking at you because the man that you're describing,
mm.
I don't see at all now because I spend time with you. So I'm listening. I believe you. I know you're
I
not
know,
lying, but I'm
right?
like, that guy
I know.
is not here.
I thought about that. I said, you don't know. We just met like the other day. You know
Yeah.
nothing about my
I
past,
would
and
never, somebody would tell me that. I'm like, you're lying. This guy is so sweet. He's so gentle. He's like,
Yeah,
never in my wildest
oh
dreams.
no,
And I
oh,
wanna, I was taking notes because it was so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. As I know it's very vulnerable. I really appreciated it. And I didn't want to interrupt because I felt something was happening, especially for someone watching. You said it was very powerful when you said you were in a living room with your family and a fight ensued and something happened and you were little, and I know
Mm,
I can tell that you're an empath. So what did that, if you can remember, what did that do for that little boy that was so
mm,
sensitive maybe and
mm,
was already a healer? What did that teach you about the world, or what was going through your head when that happened?
mm. I saw the pain. There was pain.
Mm,
There was pain, especially in my household with my dad and my mom too. There was lots of fights too, throwing things and screaming, and it was just terrible. It was traumatic. It was just really, really traumatic. And you just try to stuff that pain down. You see it, you recognize it, you know it, but you're like,
yeah.
I don't want that. Where can I put it around here? Yeah, let me just stuff it down. So that's what I learned.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. So here you are, this very person that's it from the beginning, very connected. I can see that you already have the gift, or you probably had no idea. And then you'll get introduced to all these ways to quote unquote cope, right? Coping mechanisms, but it's really not coping, it's really masking. So, and I love what you said, what your father said. It was very intuitive. You left your
Mhm.
mother's home and you went to
Mhm.
another woman, and you mentioned all of these women relationships, and then
Mhm.
you meet your wife. How do
Mhm.
you go from being or meeting the wrong women to meet the
Mhm.
right one for you? Because I think you jumped there. I'm interested in that. How do you connect with
Oh,
her?
that's wonderful because I probably met the right one a few times, but
Mm,
you see, I just they were nice people, great, and beautiful things could have happened, but I was dark, man. I was abusive. Yeah, looking back, it's so painful. Like, how could I have done those things to those people? It was
mm,
so super painful. But I was ready, at that
mm,
time. I was living on my own and I had gotten a bigger, I went from that small room to another like basement sharing the bathroom in the hallway, but it was bigger. And then I went to another one, which is more mine. It was a garage that was converted into a one bedroom. And then, she was there, but she came in like in between others too,
mm,
so there was other ones there. And I was, she was so good, but I was dragging her through the
mm,
mud, face down by her feet, and I felt that for her. But, I just did what I felt I wanted to do. It was that selfishness act. But I could see that she was different. She was reading more. See, that's why we always push reading. Like in the Omziel
yeah.
Healing Sanctuary, I have a folder that I share with people. If anyone is interested, they just could email me. I will share with you for free. It is chock full of audiobooks and PDF books for free. You can just have access to my personal file. But she was learning new things and she was very spiritual. She was trying things like, and then I would try them too. I would go with her. We went to like a Buddhist temple, and it was one of my first times I had went to one. And when it came time for people to do the prostration to come down, like she went out into the aisle and she did it, and I'm looking at her like, what the hell are you doing? I gotta, yeah. So I saw she was open like that, and I enjoyed that. So I said, something inside said, yeah, come on, oh, let's go, bro. It's right here. What are you looking for? You're running, or it's right here. You're gonna miss it. So I didn't want to miss it.
Wow, that's amazing. And there's something to be said about, she must have seen something because she's doing the work, right? She's ahead. She's reading the
Mm-hmm.
book. She knows she's coming out of whatever she's coming out herself. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder, have you guys ever talked about it? What did she see, or what did she know that you didn't know about yourself? That she said, I'm gonna hang in, and I see something in this guy."
Well, that's a great question, and I do pray that she will watch this because it's we've had these conversations in the past before, and you start to dissect each other at some point when you're living with someone, and I could see that the traumas that she had been through also, and in the background of that loyalty, like, oh, be loyal, or
Hmm.
no matter how he is, no
Yeah,
matter what he does, that this is just what men do. And so she kind of bought into that
yeah,
too. And I was on the same program too, because I was brought up like that. My old man, he was great in many ways, but he taught me a lot of bad things too. So yeah, I think it was a bit of that. Like she was just programmed in that
yeah.
area, and once we started coming out of it, it was, I tell you, and this is a true story, Kat. I turned to her and I told her, I'm sorry. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, I'm sorry I took so long.
Wow. Wow. I'm so glad that you were honest. Thank you for that because as trauma bonding is a real thing. And especially for our cultures, unfortunately, there's a lot of, women are subservient and they just gotta put up with it. He's your man. And that phrase that I hate, ride or die. Why are we riding and dying? I don't understand that. Well, can we ride and rise? Can we do that?
Right. hmm
My goodness. But I'm glad that you were
I
able
just
to
I
recognize. Yeah, go
I just
ahead.
want to mention that I've learned that there are some cultures that once you meet someone that you like, they go away to a monastery for 1 year to learn about themselves. And
Wow.
then when they come out, they go back to that person and see if they still want to be with that person.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, I think I met somebody last week, and then there was three women, three of us, me included, and two of us were divorced, and we were saying how we were happier now. And then the woman, she didn't say anything, and then she said, "Oh, I'm married. I'm happily married." And but then she added a caveat, "But I got married when I was almost 40."
Mm,
Right. And she knew who she was. She knew what she wanted. She had done the work on herself. And there's something to be said about waiting until you have dealt with your trauma, waiting until you actually know what do you even want in a relationship. Do you even have any business being in a relationship,
mm.
especially when you have had trauma coming growing up?
Right, right. It is true. It is true. But I'm grateful for it. I love it, even on the days that I think it sucks, but
Yeah.
I still love it too. I do. Yeah, there's challenges. The show's not about
Yeah.
that, but we can have another show.
Yeah, of
This show,
course.
there's challenges just like in any relationship. That's what I try to tell other brothers. Oh, my wife, she's this and that. I said, listen, you think that you're gonna leave her and go find another one that another one's better? It's different. It's just different. That's all. It's just different. That's it.
It is. Oh my God, I love it. So the couple of things that you were saying, as I was writing notes, is with the books. So what books do you think you started? What book at the beginning where you say, "Wow,
Mm,
this book really spoke to me"?
mm. Man, there was a few. There was like the autobiography of a yogi. That's a really good one, right? As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Mm,
That was great as well. Eckhart Tolle, right? The Power of Now. I was trying to feel it and get into it. I couldn't stand his voice, right?
I
But
know.
this is the thing. Over time, when I was like, hold on, let me just give it a chance, then I got to love it. So I would always encourage people, like, just give it a chance, for anybody. I'm just saying, for Eckhart Tolle,
Right.
and there was many other audio books that I was listening to, and then but being in the power of now, that there's this power right here. It was nothing that flowed with me, too quickly. But then he also made the a new earth.
Yeah.
That one was like, whoa, the light went on in the room. I was like, of course, we're sleeping. Like, yes. He said, in the future, people will commit crimes and they'll be in front of the judge and they'll be like, Your Honor, he was sleeping. He's unconscious. Oh, yeah, you're right. Go ahead, go free. Yeah, because we are.
Wow.
Because we
Yeah.
are. We are.
Powerful. So at what moment, and I know that you were getting, once you study ayahuasca for a year, and then people began to ask you to serve, but at what point did you accept the mantle of, okay, and I don't know if you call yourself a healer, but that's what I call it. When do you understand, okay, this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, like I had mentioned before, I continued working with this ancient medicine, which is a typical term, like working with it. Why? Because we're like onions, Cat. We're
Yeah.
made up of many layers. I didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm this garbage," you know. And I wasn't gonna just wake up one day and it was gonna be over either. So I just kept working with it and learning about myself, and then meditating more, and then I picked up yoga, and then I started running. So it's a process. It's always a journey to that thing. But as I continued working with that medicine, I think it might have been like within the year. Every time I ingested the medicine in a ceremonial setting, I always asked, I want to stop drinking alcohol. I also asked other things too. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great son. But I also want to stop drinking alcohol. So, um, the number of ceremonies that I was doing, I'm not sure what that number is, but at some point, I did receive one that was super strong.
Mm,
The visuals were everywhere, like with my eyes closed and my eyes open. There was like all kinds of geometrical shapes and swastikas and serpents and all kinds of things. Um, I try not to be too judgmental because sometimes words,
yeah.
try to put things in a box. But I was just seeing many visual things, and um, that was the one that helped me. It just helped me. I stopped drinking alcohol and stuff like that. So as I started to learn more about these things and how do I continue now a life without any substances, I started to learn more about the mind, that the thoughts, they're not my own. They're just thoughts. They're frequencies that I'm picking up because the pineal gland is like a antenna. So we're just
Yeah.
getting these messages. So sometimes we have these evil thoughts. We go, oh my God, how could I think like that? It's not you. You could have just picked that up from somebody who was passing by or something like that. But I started to get to know more about myself, and then we started having gatherings. People started coming over. When I went to Peru, that I mentioned earlier,
Okay.
we met people, and I have friends for life from Ireland, from the UK, from Canada, from all around the world. They were coming to my place. I went from a guy who didn't want anybody, unless you had some, drugs or drink, then you could come. But if you did, I didn't want nobody in my house. No, but now my whole house is open for people to just come through, drop in. Um, so as I started working with people and on myself and stuff, and I just started getting more of these messages, you know, of like, go serve and do that. Yeah, do that. That's the way, that
Wow.
way, not that way, this way, go. And okay, I'm listening. I'm doing my best to interpret some of the things I'm hearing and I'm seeing and the signs that are coming, numbers or a person or a place or so you just kind of like weave through all that, and continue to keep your morals very high, and your standards too, right? Because some people they get lost in some of those things.
Yeah.
So that's where I started with that, and then I just started, hey, I could do this, man, and then I stepped more fully into it, each time. But I'm learning each time too, you know.
So powerful. I love the part where you're just listening and allowing the answers to come, because it can be very easy to judge it or be like, me, why would I do that? But I think maybe it helped that the fact that you went through so much pain and heartache for you to understand, hey, I can help other people. I can help them with this thing that I used to struggle with, because I can tell you're such an empath, and it's just again the contrast of that person that you described with the person that you are today, meeting your
Yeah.
family and seeing
Hmm.
how devoted. It's just
Yep. It's
beautiful
just.
thing to see. That's the best testimonial, right?
Mhm.
Yourself, the before and after.
Yep, I look in the mirror. And that's another thing too. In the past, I remember a time when I did look in the mirror, Cat, and I looked at that person. I said, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah,
Who are you? I was totally lost. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I was just lost. I didn't know who I was. I couldn't even recognize. Now, physically, I knew who I was,
yeah.
but just the person, but now, oh no, I know exactly who I am, in the temple of Adelphi and in ancient Kemet, before you went into the temple, one of the statements on top of the temple door would say, "Know thyself,"
Mm,
and that's the one that I put on my door before you come in. Why? Because I love that notion of before you come into the temple, start asking for things and oh God, please give. Know yourself first. You know?
Powerful. Before anybody else has a chance to try to tell you who you are, because that's the other thing. Many of us have been doing the wrong things or not investing our time and resources in the right things because somebody else already made a decision and said, this is who you are, when
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nothing could have been further from the truth. So I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
that you woke up. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you were put in your wife's path so you guys can meet and heal together. Because as you were healing, she was healing as well, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's one of those things that we both waking up like a little bit more. And for me, once I started waking up a little bit more, I was like, oh no, I want more of this. Where can I find more? I was like reading more books. I was going to seminars and classes, and I'm like, I just want more. And then I started getting into my mind and my body. So I started running. So I'm a regular runner. I run about 7 miles a day. I could do seven days a week. Sometimes I do like five, six, but seven. If I'm steady, I just keep going. And why? I learn about myself. Running is about your mind. People think
Yeah.
it's about your body. No, it's about how hard can you push it. When your mind says no more, stop, turn back, take the shortcut. Why you? It's late out here. It's dark, or you know. So yeah, it's beautiful path. It's beautiful.
It is, and it's all about the habits. I've seen how the correlation of replacing bad habits with habits that support the lifestyle that you want to have. Because it's very easy to say, I'm not gonna do this thing anymore. But if you don't fill it with
Hmm.
something else, then you're leaving yourself open to falling back because being bored, I think it's the probably the most dangerous thing that we can ever experience because you might not be in the right mindset to choose the right things for you.
Yeah, idle time is the devil's playground.
Yes.
You see, so let's do it. Let's be. We could be so much more. We're human beings. We're not human doings. But for us to reach the level that we're supposed to be reaching and beyond is so far up there. We've got a lot of ground to cover. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me about the birth of Omziel Healing Sanctuary. How did you go from helping people here and there to saying, we're going to make it official?
Right. It was a crazy thing because we started having people coming. I told you they were coming from around the
Mhm.
world. And then other people started coming, friends and family. We started having these meetings. We would have documentary screenings and then
Mm.
like just talk about it, deep documentaries about life and different plant medicine, consciousness, the mind, the body, all types of things. Um, but then me and the wife, we just started getting those things saying, wow, we there's more here, there's more, let's keep going. And we just started opening us, send place more. And then um, we have one part where we were renting, we have some rentals. And the person who moved out, the family, once they moved out, we got that call again, telling, what you're gonna do. I was like, oh yeah. So we dedicate that space. That's it. We can rent it, we can get a steady income every month, but no, we dedicate our space to have different activities, ceremonies, and um so it was basically like that. We got the call and we said, yep, yeah, this is it. This is it. And we went all in, man.
Amazing. So what has happened since you say yes to that? What has been the transformation from saying yes and now it's a regular space? What happens in
Okay.
that space now?
Well, let me just
Yeah.
say first that when I came back from Peru, I was in contact with many of these individuals, and we were on Facebook chatting and stuff like that, and we were sharing ideas. And one of them, a gentleman, a good brother Frank in Australia, he mentioned about a guy who was doing some breath work with an ice
Mm,
plunge and that it was healing. And it was just one of many that I was learning about. So then some years went by, and then I had a dream. I had a dream with this gentleman who makes this modality very famous. And we were in the wilderness with about five or six other men. And we were running in the wilderness, and we got into the riverbed with the water up to our necks. And I remember it was very vivid with the ice and the snow. I mean, Kat, you already know these things, it's
yeah,
powerful.
it is.
Trust me. This dream came to me out of nowhere, and I had a cap on, a knitted one, and we all were just sitting there in the water up to our necks, just digging each other, like, yeah, this is cool. And then we got up and we started running in the wilderness, and people were like looking at us, and I was like, wow, people are looking at us. And I woke up, I told my wife, I was like, wow, that was strange. So then fast forward like 8 or 9 months after that, I started getting this email saying that this gentleman was going to be teaching this over here in Brooklyn. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, at first I said no, right? Because I saw the price tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing, Kat. This is how we do. Humans are like that. We spend money to buy something for somebody right away. Oh man, we the best alligator shoes. Go ahead. Happy birthday, right? But then for us, we think about it.
Yeah.
Why do we do that, right? But I said, you know what? Let me just wait. If I see so many other emails or something, I'll see it as a sign, which I did. It came from another source too. So I grabbed my yoga mat and went down to Brooklyn. There was a line out the door. Went in and they gave us a vegetarian box lunch. There was 100 mats on the floor, and they
Wow.
taught us about the breath work. And then we got into the ice, and I experienced it. It was quite profound. And then I met a facilitator there that he just happened to be from New York. And then he took me under his wing. And then I told him, hey, I'm doing this thing. Just starting Omziel. Do you want to come and teach this to some people? Sure. So he came like half dozen times. And then he started teaching me about the breath, about the body and all of that and the mindset. And then I started doing it on my own, and then people started coming. And that started, it's the staple. It's what we offer, breath work with an ice plunge. It
Wow.
pushes people into the present moment. It's a super powerful tool. There's many tools out there, but this is one that is very, very strong. And it's all in the mind. People think, oh, it's my body. I'm going to be cold. It's about your mind. You can do it. Everyone does it. Everyone can do it. So that was the thing that started it right there. And then we started doing other things, gatherings. So many people started coming, like, hey, on a Friday, oh, Saturday, that we were like, hey, why don't we just get people? There's some musicians here. Hey, would you like to play and sing a couple of songs? Sure. Then we started in my garage, and we did that for a while. And then after that, we took the leap over there to the Stone Mountain Farm. It just seemed right. It clicked together, and I met you and so many
Yeah.
other people, and yeah, we're building there on that land.
It's beautiful, and I love how every time it has come with a whisper, or you get that call, you get that nudge of do this. And I just want to commend you for saying yes, even though it might not have been immediate, but you have said yes consistently, and
Mhm.
that's why you are here. And that's that part of being an empath and being connected and being able to say, I don't fully understand this. This is gonna, I don't know, it's out there or it's a lot of money, but I'm gonna show up, because
Mhm.
that's where that space is the faith part, right? It's that you make that leap. That's why it's a leap, because you don't know where you're gonna land. But
Mhm.
I know that all the time I have been on earth, every time I have jumped, I have landed on my feet. Every time. Not one
Mhm.
single time have I jumped or trusted in
Mhm.
something that I heard, that I was told, that didn't
Mhm.
work out. So I think it's maybe working out that muscle. That muscle needs to be exercised, where you listen and you're like, I'm trusting this, because every time that I listened to before, it was for my good.
Yeah, one of the analogies that we like to make is most of us are up to our neck, chin, and nose in feces, but the shower is like about 5 feet away. We can see the showers right there.
Mm,
And then do we go take a shower or not? We start getting these thoughts about what if I get clean? I don't know what it is to be clean. I don't know what to do with myself. But once you take that step and shower off, oh my God, it's just beautiful. Then the other thing
amazing.
we also like to say is about, you said about the silence. That is so profound. When you pray, you speak to God. When you meditate, you're listening to God. It's as
Yes.
simple as that. Let's not get it twisted, people, and put all these labels and all
Yeah.
this, and it's not like that. Just be silent. Stay. Meditation is recorded over 5,000 years. So it's something that's there and it works. Like, you don't have to chant, and you can, but just the meditation, it just be silent. Even if for 5 minutes, right? And when you wake up and you rise, you know, 5 minutes. Set your alarm on your phone, or do 3 minutes. Start with three, like that. You be surprised how beautiful your day is, and thoughts that come in, and you be like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Oh my God, like I was quiet. That's why I was silent.
Exactly. It's even like when you're asking for a question, people say, I've been asking and God's not answering, but you're not stopping to listen. If you stop long
God
enough
is
to
trying
just
to tell
listen,
you, right? Yeah,
it's like you're too busy, you're on the phone all the
yeah.
time, or you're always doing. I love what you said
Mhm,
earlier, that we're human beings and we
mhm,
are spending a lot of time doing, and
mhm,
that gets in the way of many things being done for ourselves. Many things get done if we trust and we
mhm,
let others. Many people want to bless us, many people. And
yeah,
sometimes it's just being obedient,
mhm,
sharing our mission, which you're doing. Something that you said that you started doing the cold plunges in the breath work, but you also mentioned the men retreats, which I'm so glad that you're doing that, because I cannot think of a group that needs it most so they can
mhm.
lead. So when did you start doing that, the men retreats?
Yeah, this is a powerful, powerful thing that has come to us as well. You see, normally women get together, they have a retreat. Oh, no problem. They pay the money, they go right away, months in advance, But
Yeah.
men, it's like pulling teeth at the dentist. Like, what, bro? Come on. You know you need this. Like, then I start feeling like a car salesman. Like, and when you're ready, brother, you come, bro. And they do come around, because they could see that we're honest, we're transparent. We have a simple system and that works. And the testimonies are there. If I had a nickel for every time I heard, Omar, you've changed my life.
Mm,
Thank you so much. But like I had mentioned before, that we often compare ourselves to the usher at the movie theater,
mm,
right? We're just trying to help you to get to your seat without knocking somebody's popcorn over. That's it. Why?
mm,
Because the movie is yours. We're just ushers. That's it. We're giving you the support that you need. So I did started to notice things about myself and where did I come from? And there was no rite of passage. My rite of passage was go drink alcohol, go get a girlfriend, go get many girlfriends,
yeah.
and then and pay a bill too. Then you're really a man. Go ahead, go. But that just didn't sit with me well in my spirit, my energy. I was like, no, man, there's something else here. So again, I started looking into it, studying it more, studying what makes men do things and stuff. And often it's their childhood, just like all of us. We have these like 7 or 8 year cycles, like where we're shedding our skin, we're shedding energies and all that. But the first 7 of our years are very crucial, and it's what builds our character. But that's where you have to get to the root, right? Because it's the subconscious that's playing. Think of it like a record, or think of it like the fish. When you ask a fish about the water, what does the fish say? What water?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
that. We have this record that's playing in the background. It's been there so long we don't even know it's playing. But it's our duty as humans to get back there to that record and do the remix. Scratch and do something. You have to make some effort to get to that record and change it. See, you have to notice it. First of all, you have to see it. It's there. So that's what we do. We take men away into these private locations. We're gonna have one coming up now on December 5th, 6th, and 7th, and it's at the Stone Mountain Farm in New Paltz, New York. We help brothers disconnect from the
Mm,
matrix, let go of the phone. The telephone is the cell phone, mobile phone. It's like heroin. You
mm,
you
yeah.
gotta cut it off. And then we take a deep dive into things. But there's plenty of time to sit around, read a book, go into the hammock, take a walk by yourself, too. But then we do breath work, we do energetic physical releases, we do cold plunging, and we have different deep ceremonies too, and yeah, lots of things, lots of tears, lots of cry, and then lots of
Mm,
laughter too. Some of those tears are mine too, actually.
yeah, I'm
But
sure.
we have a great time. Great. It's transformative. You could buy a pair of sneakers or shoes, but it's not going to transform you. It's not. The
No.
things are not going to, it's experiences.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. And I love that it's coming from you because you have been through the transformation. You know what it's like to be there. And that I think that's the disconnect that many people don't make. It's we think it's like, oh, it's not a big deal, but the gap is the price that you pay when you're not at peace. Like
Mm,
you can sleep at peace because you know your life.
mhm,
But when your life is out of control, you don't have any peace because you know something, a shoe is gonna drop, you know somebody's gonna say something, somebody's gonna bust through the door. But the peace that comes from having a life in order, the peace that
Mm-hmm.
comes from living a life on purpose, there's no price to that.
No price. No price. And that's what we help brothers with. Get some organization in their life. There's too many things all around the place and they just can't see through the forest, you know. So what we help them do is clear some of that out so they can get some clarity, and we give them real world tools that way they can go back to society and be a better father, be a better parent, be a better son, be a better worker, you know, in this society or whatever, or be more creative. You know, maybe you're a musician or an artist that you paint, or you know, you want to be a physician, or you want to join something or create a podcast or write a book, you know. So we have these set of pillars that help people, and then there's that integration as well. We
Mhm.
don't just bring brothers out, pour this stuff into them and then dump them back into the war like that. No, we're in contact with them. We continue the online, you know, meetings and stuff like that, conversations, one-on-one, things like that.
So powerful. Thank you for bringing that up. Integration is so big, especially when there's been such a big transformation. So the person is wide open, very vulnerable, and going back to if we call it the scene of the crime, and you're not rooted and you don't have support, more than likely it's not going to stick because they don't have the integration. So I'm so glad that you guys are also including
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, and then from a person who has been through, you
Mm,
know, the pretty dark, deep points of hell, you know, I can look into a brother's eyes with all honesty and tell him, I know what you're feeling, brother.
yeah.
I know, right? Because I used to go to the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and I've been to many different ones, you know. But one thing that used to come up was that the person who was leading the meeting, we would ask them, Have you ever taken a drink?" And to my surprise, many of them would say no. And we'd be
Wow.
like, "What?
What are you doing here?
How could you tell me? You don't know what it is to wake up in the morning with that gut feeling, with that pain that you do anything and you hurt anybody just to get what you want. You don't really know. Yeah, you read it in a book and you
Yeah.
could tell me all of that nice stuff, but you didn't experience it, you know. So that's where I
Yeah.
come in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I think that is the reason why many healers come through how they come through, why they have so much trauma, because there's so much power when you can say, you can tell when somebody says, I know, you can tell if they know. Just the
Mm-hmm.
level, just the
Mm-hmm.
tone, just
Right.
how they stand. They don't even
Mm-hmm.
have to explain anything. If they say, I know, I can tell that
Mm-hmm.
they know, or I can tell
Right.
when it's BS, they don't really know. They don't
Right.
really know. So I think that's part of our qualification process. That's our certification.
Mm-hmm.
You've been through this, you got it out. Now go back and get the others. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's super powerful to help someone. I mean, where else are you going to experience that? Like I could buy you something and you'd be like, "Oh, that's nice," and it would last a little while, but if I'm part of your journey and I helped you in some way, oh, forget it. Like I can't find that nowhere. I can't smoke it, snort it, drink it, any of it. It's pure. It's pure. You're part of that person's fabric, and it's quite powerful, you know. But then we also give them other tools too, like you should also challenge your body physically. I don't know what that is. Go to the gym, lift weights, go running. You know, yoga is a huge one. This is also documented, you know, thousands and thousands of years old. Anything that has lasted that long, we should pay attention to it. Yoga means yoke. Yoking what? Yoking your mind, your body,
Mm.
and your spirit, your soul, your energy, yoking them together, you know, and it helps you in many ways. Do you practice yoga as well?
I do. I am very big on meditation. That's the biggest thing, and movement. So I do a lot. I move every single day. So I try to be outside as much as possible because I noticed you were talking a lot about habits. I actually created something for women. There's something for men that's really powerful, but it's very regimented. Women need more softness, more flexibility. And I literally changed my life. Every time I do this for 75 days, it changes my life because I develop another habit. And I think life is a series of habits. So I am either um, one that I just developed is getting up early. Before I would get up early enough, but not enough to do all the things that I know work for me. So I get up earlier and I'm out there. Today before 7, I was out there already, and I am listening to God. I see the sun rise. There's something about seeing the sun come up, and I'm catching up with myself. And I'm checking in to see, okay, not only am I catching up with myself, but I'm also working on the body and the life that I say that I want. And that's a big one for me, congruency. I'm in a place in my life where congruency is very important. It's not just saying that I want something. What am I doing to get those things that I say that I want?
Yeah. Another book that has helped me profoundly too is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes, so
That's
good.
another one that we share in the audio books that folder that I was speaking with you earlier. That is free for anyone who's interested. But the Atomic Habits, incredible. Yeah, it's super powerful. It helped me too.
Very
So
powerful. Habits are everything. And I think what people are missing that are not realizing is, what do you do with your time? Do you invest it or you waste it? And the time is gonna go by regardless. A lot of people say, I want to do this program, but it's gonna be 3 years. Well, 3 years are gonna go by whether you do the program or not.
that's
So
right.
I always say that. So you can do the 3 years, do the program, will have the 3 years go by and do nothing. So it's the investment. It's the investment of time. I'm so excited that we get to talk. I know this is gonna be the first conversation because I can tell we can go deeper. Where can people find out more about you and Omziel?
Um, we do have a website. Omziel is OMZIEL. So it's Omziel Healing Sanctuary.com. That's the website. My email is omzielhealing at gmail.com. We also have the YouTube channel, Omziel Sanctuary. We also have the Facebook, which is Omziel Jersey, I think it is. We also have the business page on Facebook, and we also have the Purple Sage, which that's where I met you at the Purple
Yeah,
Sage. This is something that is growing very quickly. And we have on Instagram as well, Omziel Healing. You can find us there. And we also have the Purple Sage Festival um, page on Instagram as well. So
beautiful.
that's
So you mentioned that you have the men's retreat coming up. About the dates again?
December the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. It's official. It's there on the Stone Mountain Farm. It's in a beautiful house that has 4 bedrooms, 5 beds, fireplace, piano, a whole deck in the back. And we did a wonderful interview, me and
Yeah,
you. It was more of a conversation. Interview sounds like we were talking,
yeah,
and many hits on that one too. Me and you, we have many things to say and share,
yeah,
and it's real talk. And I wanted to mention that also, that some of those things that I spoke to you about earlier, a part of you is like, who you talking about? Because that's not the guy that I met, and I know, but you could see that I'm genuine. I'm
yeah,
not. I'm not. It's not a story. It's not a fantasy. That because you people could tell after a while,
beautiful.
they could tell like, I don't believe that he's exaggerating, or no, no. This is, I'm telling you, this is me. This is what happened to me, and this is who I am now. So that's what we're
It's
doing.
beautiful. It's powerful. So I cannot wait for people to connect with you. I'll definitely make sure to get the link so anybody that wants to have access to those books or those PDFs, they can get it to visit your website. I
Mhm.
am so proud. I just want to say, because I'm a mom, I'm so proud. I'm sure your mom is, your father too, very proud of the work that you have done. I see great things for you in your future. We spoke that when we met. And I just know this is just even though you're doing great things, this is the beginning, and it's beautiful to see you guys working together, you and your wife. I'm so and it's fun, so many similarities. She's also Dominican. I cannot wait to spend more time with her, and I'm just
Mhm.
grateful that she was doing the work, that she was ahead, and that she was able to be that conduit, to be that person that say, hey, I'm doing these things, and now you guys are doing it together.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity as well.
You
Appreciate it.
are very welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and many blessings to you and your family. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I hope that you got at least one nugget. I know that I wrote down many things that I'm going to follow up on because this man has been through a lot, but also he's a healer, and he's sharing from the heart in the many things that change his life, and that now he's helping others change their lives. So I hope this is a reminder for you that you are also a healer and that your medicine is needed in the world. So please know that I love you, that I'm rooting for you, and I'm going to see you super duper soon.